Oh boy, I am not ready for this. I mean, I kind of am, but not really. Okay, here's the thing. I don't like my Inktober. Overall, I think I could have done a lot better job, but I have a full-time job and it's just, it's hard. It's hard to keep up with. Bad excuse, but still an excuse nonetheless. Maybe other artists can sympathize with this, but sometimes there comes a time where you have finished a piece of art and you really don't like it. So you step away from it, you hide it from the world, and assuming you don't throw it away or completely forget where it is, you run into it later. And then it doesn't bother you as much, because it's like you've had the time to distance yourself. Some people that takes a year or more, some people it takes a week or a day. Some people like me it takes a few weeks, and I have now detached myself and I can rationalize that this is no longer me. So that's why I'm comfortable with sharing this with you guys almost an entire month after the completion of the challenge. Plus, this is doubly effective because I'm actually out of town this week for Thanksgiving with family. So I'm just gonna start off with what I used for this challenge, which is my pencil, my eraser, my Copic markers, which I got just for this challenge, and also my beautiful Jelly Roll pen. Oh, I also forgot, my Micron pen. My Micron pen! It's beautiful. Okay, so that's my supplies. Let's get started on my presentation. So, day one is poisonous, and the reason I drew cherries for poison is because not only do they have cyanide in their pits, but also one of my friends is deathly allergic to cherries. I know, let's just have a moment of silence for him. It's very sad. Thank you for participating. Day two was tranquil, and so I kind of thought of my other friends who have a bunch of fish, who are very beautiful fish, but I myself don't get a whole lot of relaxation out of just looking at fish, so I kind of decided to put something that would relax me in a fish bowl. And that's about as straightforward as that gets. I really don't like this one very much. I like the cherries more. I was in a feverish state when I drew the cherries, but I was also in a feverish state when I drew this. You win some, you lose some, I guess. Okay, for day three, the word was roasted. For a lot of these early drawings, I was watching American Horror Story, so my mind was kind of in that zone, I think. So I drew a crispy human. A crispy mannequin-like human with crispy hands and crispy feet, and residing in a clawed and burning hand. So day number 4 was spell, and so I kind of made this slightly off-looking human being with kind of cat eyes and these stars on her cheek. I somehow found something with blue. I have a lot of blue things. That's really not a surprise that I found something blue. But anyway, hopefully she looks wicked. So day number 5 was chicken, and I know I could have been more creative than this, but I wasn't, as you can see. So, I actually do like how this turned out, even though it's very typical and very boring and not very dynamic in any capacity. But I like how I did the highlights and the details and the feathers, actually. I think those came out pretty well, and they conveyed depth even though they all look very similar, just as far as their line weights and their sizes go. Day 6 was drool, and I like tigers. Rawr! So I decided to practice some of my tiger anatomy. It still looks really wonky. I really need to work on it a little bit more, but I'm getting the hang of their dental or oral anatomy, I guess. But that's it for that one. Okay. Day 7 was exhausted, and even though I am not a coffee drinker, pretty much everyone in my life is, and I assume that if they don't get their coffee, this is basically what they look like. As you can see, I scribbled all over the place with to-dos. I think I've got ZZZ up here, I've got chill, I've got sleep, nap, workout, game. I have a lot of things that I constantly have in my head to do, but even though I'm tired, I don't need the coffee to stay awake for it. So day 8 was Star, and I could have done what I did with Chicken and just be straightforward about it and put a friggin' star, but I decided to go philosophical with it, actually. What was actually in my mind as I was creating this is that the star should cast light onto the darkness and darkness onto the light. And I kind of wanted to show that not all things that are good have no bad, and not all things that are bad have no good. So as you can see, the star is actually conveying shadow to the clawed white hand, but it is conveying light unto the dark hand. That's probably too deep, but that was my actual thought process for this one. Oh yeah, and then also there's claws on the white hand to kind of further convey the idea that darkness resides even in light. Okay, so day number 9 was Precious, as in Precious from Lord of the Rings, the One Ring. But I really don't like this one. There's quite a few of these that I don't like, and I'll tell you as we get to more. The One Ring. So I actually attempted to put the Elvish inscription on there, and I got too scared that it was going to be unreadable and really crappy, so I just highlighted the ever-loving crap out of it to avoid that. So there you go. So day 10 was Flowing, and flow it did. I basically just kind of started drawing this, and it came out like this. This is absolutely one of, if not my absolute favorite from the whole month of Inktober. I love deer. I think they're gorgeous and elegant, and I think that water, when delicately dripped, it looks like liquid glass, and I wanted to kind of portray that in this. I love how the highlights came out on this halftone paper too. It looks very nice. Okay, so day 11 was Cruel. I really don't like how this turned out. The concept, the sketch, those both looked great, but the execution here was not well done in my opinion. I even put little broken hearts here to exhibit how much I hate this. I'm just kidding. No, but I like to come up with stories as I go along, and in this one I kind of decided that this girl is an assassin, and she essentially persuaded this prince to fall for her, and made him believe that she loved him the same way that he was falling for her. And so they got married, and that night her real purpose comes to light, and she is supposed to kill him. And so yeah, that's very sad. So now he's crying and he's bleeding, both things. But yeah, so her true purpose comes to light, and she never loved him at all. Okay, anyway, the story's good, but the execution is terrible. Bad Dale. Okay, moving on. For day 12, it was Whale, and essentially I wound up doing the exact same thing that I did with Chicken, which is really unfortunate, and there's eraser shavings here that I need to get rid of. Anyway, hopefully next year when I do this, I'll be able to come up with something a little more creative, but this year, I don't know. This was my first time doing Inktober, so moving on. Okay, so day 13 was Guarded, and I love how this portion turned out. The reason for that is I really like this character's expression, but I really hate how these hands came out. I think they're out of proportion. They're disproportionate, and I think that's because I use my own hands as a reference, and I have very bumpy knuckles. Bony knuckles. I have bony knuckles. But yeah, basically the idea behind this was legitimately just a very angry individual hiding behind this ex-guard. This is day 14, and it's also one of my favorites. I really love this because this is actually an image of one of my very first characters that I created back in like middle school. His name is Tenenge, T-E-N-E-N-G-U-E, and he's half wolf and half dragon, which is just further proof that this is definitely something I made up in middle school and high school. I do still remember his design by heart, with his big long tuft of white hair, huge freaking ears, his gigantic teeth and his snake-like tongue. But yeah, for this one I kind of allowed clock to translate into time, and so not only is he crushing this clock, but kind of thought about it as in sort of like, you know, he's coming back. He continues to go through time with me as I move forward. Apparently he does too, because I still remember him and I still draw him 10 years later. For day 15, the prompt was weak, and yes, I did indeed superimpose this image over my sketchbook, and that is because I actually did this drawing somewhere else, so you can see this on my Instagram on the day, but basically it's this emaciated girl who is just like, yikes. But yeah, anyway, the goal here was kind of just to portray someone who is incredibly feeble. What's on the ground? Is it blood? Is it water? Who knows? You decide. This is one of my least favorite that I did by far. So the prompt for day 16 was angular. Don't ask me why I wound up doing a mouse, or what's wrong with it. We're gonna skip past this one, yeah. Okay, I literally hate this one so much. This is how much I hated it. As I was going to post it, I actually decided to post this one instead, because I hated it so much. So, day 17, the prompt was swollen. So, yeah, but I was watching some Dragon Ball Z, I was watching some Full Metal Alchemist, I was all over the place with the different styles that I was kind of incorporating while I was doing this, and I really don't like how it turned out. But this little guy is so cute, he's so cute. But yeah, for real, we will not speak of the left drawing anymore. We're gonna look at this and be happy. Next up is day 18, which is bottle, and I didn't actually use a reference for this. I should be referencing a lot more than I have been, but with the limited time that I've had to dedicate to this challenge, I kind of just tested my skills as they were. And so my original thought here was a wine bottle with wine inside of it, sort of, but then I just kind of wanted to see how well I could do in rendering liquid, and it looks a lot more kind of viscous than I originally intended, but I think it turned out okay. Okay, day 19 was scorched, so I have these lovely little hands encircling the earth. It's supposed to be the earth, but you can't really tell because I did this in a moving vehicle, and so everything that is land is being smote by fire. Rawr. So day 20 was breakable, and I think this is pretty straightforward since hearts are that. It's got glass in it, you know, yeah. So the prompt for day 21 was drain. So I kind of went for a vampire aesthetic, which turns out a lot of people did. I thought it was being creative, but so I really like how she turned out. I love how her shading and the structure came out for her. I don't like him so much. I kind of went for this monstrosity look and everything, but I bet you if I redid this, I could make him look a lot more terrifying, because right now he looks kind of clownish. But I am one for appreciating vampires that aren't just seductive, so I do like that he's just like, chomp. Day 22 was expensive, and would you look at me and my social commentary? I mean, really though, dresses are expensive. But yeah, in order to exemplify that, I did make a dress made of dollar bills, y'all. Which, aren't you glad I'm here to tell you what those are? Because here's the thing, even though I didn't detail them completely, they were a lot of work. For day 23, which is muddy, I did look up a reference for this. I wanted to kind of get a feel for how mud looks when you dig your fingers in. So I knew that when we drag our fingers through mud, it would leave some kind of like a tapered residue or something in the mud, but I wasn't sure by how much. So hopefully the goal here is that you got a feeling of dimension rather than me just chopping off his fingers for no good reason. Day 24's prompt was chop, and I drew a cleaver because I had been looking at cleavers for many a day because my friend's birthday was coming up, and I'm just the kind of friend who buys their friend a cleaver for their birthday. So there you go. I did really enjoy the foreshortening on this one. I probably should have referenced something, but I mean, come on. Cleavers were so clear in my mind, man. Day 25 was prickly, which is actually one of my least favorites that I did, but I had a lot of people who told me it was their absolute favorite of all of the ones I did. So I guess that just goes to show you how different and unique everyone can be. Once again, I was watching American Horror Story for this, and there's so many disturbing visuals in that show that it's really not too much of a surprise that I started thinking of people with, like, spines in their face, I think. The idea specifically for cactus spines, though, came from my upbringing in New Mexico and Arizona, where we had plenty of cacti, so. Day 26 was stretch, and it was actually really, really zen and, like, calming to draw this. I was just looking up a random yoga pose, and I actually started doing this from dark to light, which is kind of unheard of for me. Normally I sketch it out and everything, but I didn't even sketch this one out. Day 27 was thunder, and it's another one of my least favorites. I don't like it when I'm not creative. I think that's my problem. But anyway, we just have a silhouette of a city or a forest. And then we've got the ocean, and then we have some clouds overhead putting off some nice electricity. Day 28 was gift, and I don't really like this one either. I kind of like the baby's face a little bit, but I hate this hand, I hate this hair. Everything just seems really stiff and disproportionate, and I should probably practice drawing babies. Or maybe I shouldn't, you know? I don't ever intend to draw babies, so... Yay! Okay, alright, awesome. Okay, we're getting into my favorite ones now. These final three are my favorites, because Pokemon. Woo! So, day 29 prompt was double, and so cute little duos, with a little heart. I love them. They're so cute. Sometimes they fight, but right now, they love. So cute. Very cute and happy Siamese conjoined twins. Day 30 was Jolt, which of course made me think of Jolteon, which is arguably my favorite Pokemon of all time. And so I kind of looked up one of the original cards from him and just reinterpreted it in my own style. I do really like how this glow came out from using my Jelly Roll pen. Although for the lightning back there, I really wish that I had done some kind of a special fade or something to make it kind of pop a little bit more, but you know, whatever. I'm happy with it. And last but not least, we have Scyther for day 31, Halloween, which was prompt word slice. And I've always really liked his design. Scyther has a really cool design. He's not kind of, I don't typically draw carapaces. That's not really my thing. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I think it turned out pretty well. I love his scythe actually coming through. And now I'm going to ask you to enjoy my beautiful shameless plug for my fan art and my Instagram page. This is actually Twig from Hilda, the animated series on Netflix. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I would love to know which day was your favorite. Whether that's something you participated in, or you just want to tell me which of my drawings you like the most, I would love to hear it. Hope you all have a very happy Thanksgiving with your family, and I will see you next week. Bye!